Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome, everyone, to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Noethling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of this podcast is to bring topics and guests that will empower you to become that confident leader and take your business and your life to the next level. Today, I'm very pleased to bring to you Anna Brambillo. And let me tell you about Anna. Anna aims to demonstrate to coaches and consultants how they can manage their time more effectively and expand their businesses by outsourcing appropriate support. With 20 plus years as a recruiter and job search coach, Anna has helped hundreds of professionals uncover opportunities and navigate career transitions with clarity and confidence. She empowers others to see their potential and take bold steps forward. As a business owner, Anna mastered the art of leveraging virtual assistants to scale her operation and focus on what matters most. This inspired her to launch Time Maximizers, a VA recruitment company that connects entrepreneurs with perfect fit assistance through a simple, personalized process. So we're going to talk about that. All of you out there who haven't ventured to get a virtual assistant yet, you might want to take some notes. The theme is finding the right fit, tips for hiring your first virtual assistant. So please join me in welcoming Anna Brambillo. Anna, such a good thing. I had when I started, I got a virtual assistant as part of one of the coaching programs I did, and it makes life so much easier as a solopreneur. And then I had that contract ended, and I went a few months now without, and have started the process again because you just get behind. I mean, you
do.
One of my friends always says you need to make the main thing. And a lot of times the main thing isn't doing things that a virtual assistant could do for you. So I'm 100%. Very excited for you to share your story. And we always start with two easy questions. The first is, what part of the country do you live? Where do you call home?
I'm near San Jose, California. So Northern California, a little town called Campbell, which if you're from here, you may know it, but it's essentially West San Jose.
Yeah, I have a cousin who lives in San Jose, but I only visit her at San Jose. I don't think we ventured much outside of there.
There's a lot to see here.
Yeah. I think I had another guest that was from San Jose, and I talked to them about the road race, the Monte Carlo of the U.S.
Oh, fun. Oh, fun.
So share a bit about your journey. We mentioned that you found your purpose and passion because you needed a virtual assistant. So talk about, a little bit of your backstory and what really led you, that pivotal moment or the aha that said, oh, I should do this for others.
So I am a serial entrepreneur. Time Maximizers is my third business. I started my journey of being an entrepreneur, started looking around about 8 years ago, and ultimately found franchising as an option and really enjoyed that. Liked that it was business in a box, that they gave you the support. It was a proven business model, and it's been wonderful. I've done very well with that. My franchise is called the Entrepreneur Source. But about 2 years into it, a year and a half into it, I realized there's a lot of admin stuff that I can do, but it's taking away from what my purpose is and what only I can do, which is the business of the franchise. The franchise is helping people explore franchising as an option.
Mhm.
And I said, that's what a VA is for. Excuse me. So I started talking to some friends and they said, oh, VAs in the Philippines are wonderful. They're not horribly expensive. They're a great resource, so on and so forth. And so I started exploring that and, had a hard time, but ultimately found a really good virtual assistant. And she made all the difference in my life. She took off all of those administrative things that I didn't want to do and shouldn't be doing. We become entrepreneurs, we become coaches, we become solopreneurs because we want to make a
Right.
difference. We want to run our businesses. We don't want to be sending out the emails and managing the client files or whatever. So I realized that there was a need for virtual assistants for other people who owned the same franchise I did. So I created a lot of training programs, a lot of different support systems. Ended up hiring a team of 15 virtual assistants supporting, I think it's between 65 and 70 other franchise owners of the same franchise. And the feedback we got was phenomenal. This made all the
Mhm.
difference. This turned my business around. This made me enjoy my work again. Because when you choose a certain line of business, be it a franchise or anything else, you choose it so that you can do what you want to do,
That's
right?
right.
You don't do
Mhm.
the admin stuff. And so this last summer, I started thinking, what's next? And realized there's such a desperate need for VAs. And I talked to all of my friends, and I have a lot of friends, and I'm sure you know them too, Vicki,
Mhm.
where they want a virtual assistant, but they've heard horror stories, or they try and find one and they go on to Fiverr or Upwork and they type in virtual assistant and they get 50 million results. And it's really hard for them to know what they're looking for and know how to find it. So, because I have an amazing right-hand person over in the Philippines who is my chief operating officer of Time
Mhm.
Maximizers, she's created an incredible system of knows how to find them, knows what to look for, and she and I have developed a 20-step process that takes all
Mhm.
of our potential virtual assistants really through very vigorous and rigorous testing. And
Mhm.
so, what I like about that is that she knows what to look for, but she
Mhm.
also knows those little things that we in America would never think of. Like, do they live in a part of the country that experiences power outages a
That's right.
lot? I
Mhm.
never would have thought of that. I wouldn't even know where to look
Yeah.
for that. And so we've created a really wonderful program where anybody who's interested in a virtual assistant can come to us and we have a great intake conversation. What are you looking for? What's important to you? What are your must-haves? What are your nice-to-haves? What are you absolutely don't want
Mhm.
somebody with this? And we have a database already of, I think, a couple thousand virtual assistants that we can offer to you. All the client has to do is show up for the interview the people with our guidance, choose the best one, and then they hire them directly, which is nice. There's no agency
Mhm.
overhead. There's no minimums. There's no contracts. There's no commitments. They manage the person. One of the things that we do is because in the program that my virtual assistant for the other entrepreneur source franchisees is that we have perfected it in such a way we've had zero turnover in 5
That's
years,
awesome.
which
That's
is unheard
awesome.
of in the market. So
Yeah.
anyway, I could go on for hours, but you get the
Mhm.
idea of the program and what it does.
So you started to chat a little bit about the signs that you need to look for that virtual assistant. And I really think, this it is kind of associated with burnout and overwhelm. You
Mhm.
you did this and you thought, how hard could it be? But I know for me, it wasn't a problem. As I said, I had stopped for a little bit and I actually was able to keep up with things okay during that time. So it's probably why I didn't restart it right away, as I knew I should. But then my editor of my podcast is my daughter, and she broke her ankle and had to
Oh
have
no.
surgery, and then spent 2 months, 1 month in bed, and then another month partially able. And so my life totally changed in what priorities were. And
Yeah.
so it got me really behind in my postings of my podcast. And so I was like, okay, virtual assistant time.
Yep.
And and I just started to make a list of all the things that I would want that person to do beyond what the other person did in the past to
Yeah.
really take off the load. So how important is it for people to do that? Sit down and think, okay, what do I hate to do? What I have to do? There are some things that I don't want that person to do, obviously, that
Mhm.
I wanted to make sure it's my voice. But I think if they get to know you well enough, sometimes they can even reply to things in your voice.
100%. Yeah, you are ahead of a lot of our clients. A lot of our clients come to us and say, I'm lost. I sort of, piecemeal it. I do things, and we've got a couple of really phenomenal resources to help you structure it, manage it, get it down, get the processes set out. We got some great resources for that. If you have just a general list, if that felt good for you, to felt compelled to sit down and just write out all of the things that you do, that you want to do, that you don't want to do, that you can outsource, you're ahead of the game, and that's great. We can certainly help you with that. What we find is it's hard, especially when you've been doing it yourself for a while, or you've
Mm.
got someone that you trust, like your daughter. Is she doing better, by the way?
Yeah, she's
Okay.
um stopped rehab, so she is
Oh,
it will take a while. She had to have pins and plates, so it
oh,
will take a
oh,
while for her to actually not have a limp. But
oh, no.
yeah,
Oh goodness. Yeah. Well,
yeah,
I'm glad she's on the
yeah.
mend, as they say. But it's hard unless you have that trusted right hand person. It's very hard to give that up. I find it's hard to sort of want to give it all to somebody else. And so what we recommend is start small. Give a couple of things. Teach them, see what your VA is capable of. By the way, we can take, if you have certain tasks or things, we have absolutely no problem asking the potential VAs to give them sample work. We do that all of the time just to make
Mhm.
sure that they are going to be able to do what you need them to do. And we have that whole system in place, and get things, help you out with that. And start small, and start passing up little piece by
Mhm.
piece
Right.
to the virtual assistant. We can help you with that too. Like I said, we've got great resources for those people who say, I don't even know where to start, I just sort of get it done. We've got a couple
Mhm.
of really neat people who can help you with that. So anyway, we've got options. We've got options. If you have it, that's even better. It makes our lives a little bit easier, but that's okay. We like a challenge too.
And I think sometimes people think in a limited way, almost like a receptionist or a secretary type of thing, administrative or whatnot. But really, you can get VAs that are experienced in WordPress and marketing and, social media. And so I think you have to be broader in your ask to see what you have. You might have to pay a little bit more, but if it's taking it off of your plate and you're able to do more gigs, speaking gigs, or whatever training you might do or whatnot, I think it's worth the money.
100%. And we offer 3 levels of search. So if you're looking for a general VA and you just want somebody who's going to take off those general administrative tasks, we can do a standard placement for that. By the way, for time maximizers, it's a one-time only placement fee. There's no other hidden charges or expenses or anything else like that. So if you're looking for general VA, the current price is $995, so $995. We help you with that. Everything's included at all levels, but that's a lower level skill set. You might want to look for somebody that can grow into a higher level. Absolutely, we can help you with that. But that's the sort of the general VA level. Then we've got another VA of it's another VA level that 250. That's the placement fee that we charge for those higher skilled virtual assistants, people who know the WordPress, who know how to do video editing or photo editing, or bookkeeper. We had lots of that kind of thing. Whatever it is, a little bit higher scale. It's going to cost a couple more dollars an hour typically, but it's a more specialized niche, and so that's what we're charging for that. And then for those people who need a true right-hand person, that executive administrative, co-pilot type of thing, we call that an EA search, and that's $14.95. And so we can offer that for those people too. And we've got everything in between. We've got a whole resources that do real estate virtual assistants. Because of my experience in franchising, we've got a lot of franchise broker virtual assistants. So yeah, you're absolutely right. It depends on what you're looking for, and don't think small. Think big. I know from personal experience that the people in the Philippines, my experience has been they are phenomenally hard workers who are eager to learn and eager to work, and so it's been great.
So you've got your person, you've selected the person, and they're working out. Do you have a trial period of, a quarter, 3 months, 6 months? And if things suddenly go south, can you switch? Is there additional cost for that or whatnot?
Great question. That's the other one of our competitive advantages. We offer a 90-day guarantee. So if that VA, for whatever reason, is not a good fit, we will replace them for free within that 90 days. And it's not like, we just throw it over the edge, over the wall and say, okay, have fun, go forth and prosper. We work with you. We have all kinds of resources for onboarding that person. We have all kinds of resources. We do monthly check-ins. How are things going? How can we help you? How can we support you? We also have tactical things like, how do you pay the VA? How do you track their time? How do you get an invoice? How do you do things like that? And so we have lots of options.
So I know the company that I work with, they have a safeguard to make sure that VA does get paid, because sometimes we have to protect that VA too, right, in that relationship, and sometimes they make that commitment and then the money's not there. So how do you have to safeguard to make sure that you're a good partner for that VA to make sure that they get paid?
That's a great question. We don't have that in place, and I'm just going to write that down because I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, it's just something that it's almost like I bank what a typical month would be, and that just stays there, in escrow or whatnot. And if for any reason I couldn't make that month's payment, they would take it out of that. Now then I would be charged again that a fee. But that, it is a great way, because I would hate if something happened and I couldn't pay that person and they had done work for me, right?
That's a great point. I love it. Yeah.
So thinking of that, what are some common mistakes people make when they're trying to hire? It is a fit, and it's not just the resume. From being someone as a project lead and manager, I had to hire a lot of people, and I could see all the stuff on your resume, but I can tell you a few times in my career where the resume might have said how wonderful they are, but when it comes to that work ethic and that attitude and those things that I can't teach or train, that those are important things during that interview process.
100%. And we try and take the guesswork out from the very beginning initially, because we do have this 20-step process that we take the VAs through. A good 5 or 10 of those steps happen even before they get interviewed by one of my staff, because we want to make sure that they're motivated and action oriented and making things happen. And so we make sure that they give us references. They have to provide work samples. They have to provide typing samples sometimes. We have a whole steps that they have to do before they even have the reward, if you will, of being interviewed by my team. And so that's a great way that we found to really weed out a lot of those people who are like, yeah, fine, I'll do some VA work on the side. Nothing wrong with those people, but that's not the kind of VAs I want to be putting in front of my clients to find their great VA. So that's a lot of what we do is that. So by the time they get interviewed, and then we thoroughly interview them over video too, and we are very confident, which is why we can offer the 90-day guarantee. We're very confident that if we put somebody in front of you to interview, that they have that motivation and that skills, and the resume matches their experience for real, and it matches their drive and their motivation. So that's one of the things that I'm proud of.
So another incentive would be training of that VA, to say they started with you at this certain skill level. Do you offer to them the opportunity to do any in-house training to get more skills so they could expand their offerings to people?
We don't at this point. That is definitely on the expansion path, but we don't have that right now. Our focus, so we offer a couple of different services. The main focus of Time Maximizers is the direct placement of VAs. That's our main focus. That's what we're doing most of. We can certainly help you as you want to train additional time. Have your VA get trained. We haven't set those systems up in place yet. We also have a couple of different businesses for real estate agents and franchise brokers, and that's going to be expanded to other areas. That's the managed service offering. And for those people, we do offer ongoing training. So it's a different model. It's a different audience. It's very specific to people in those industries. So.
And I suppose what you could do is actually, if it's a specialized things, you might not need them as often as the general daily administrative stuff. And so you could add a second VA to your team or whatnot. Is there additional onboarding cost for a second VA? Is it that same amount based on the skill level?
We work out something. We're not going to charge you the same full amount, but it is still an extensive search. And so we often offer, it's about 10%, sometimes it's 15%, depends on how big of a leap it is. But we do offer a discount if they want to find a second VA and the other thing to keep in mind too, with the more specialized VAs, that person might be working for other clients as well. And so they're getting skills and experience without you having to pay for it, which is another option too.
Very good. Well, time has flown by. I hope that the audience has got as many tips as were placed in front of you today about the right fit and how to hire your first VA, or maybe you're not happy with the group you have and you want to try something new. So I'm going to share, as always, my contact slide that has Anna's information. If you're just listening, you know that you can get all the information on my YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe, and that's Vicki Noethling. If you are watching, though, you will be able to get a screenshot, and always everything is on my findyourleadershipconfidence.com website.
And it's very simple too. Go to maxyourtime.com or send me an email, anna@maxyourtime.com.
You can also find her at social media, LinkedIn and Instagram. In on LinkedIn is her name, Anna Brambillo, and Instagram is Time Maximizers. I'm going to let Anna talk to you about what you can find when you go to maxyourtime.com, any resources, links, things she puts out there that might be helpful to you, and an idea of what she puts out on the social media. And that's all yours, Anna.
Terrific. Thank you. Well, we are still developing we're putting the final touches on a lot of our handouts. We've got a lot of information just about working with a Filipino VA. It's a different culture. Luckily, they speak, read, and write English, frankly, better than I do sometimes.
Yes.
It's just incredible. So we have a lot of information about that, onboarding a VA, working with them, how to delegate. We're working, we've got some of that on our website and more coming every week. On we have quizzes out there helping you decide which is going to be the best VA for you. Maybe you know, maybe you don't know. We've got other resources, as I mentioned, that are behind. They're not on the website because we want to protect the privacy, but we've got great resources for people who are like, I know I need a VA, don't know where to start, don't know what I do all day, every day. And so they want some help finding that out, and we can help them with that too. So we've got all kinds of resources.
So for those kind of questions, you need to email Anna at maxyourtime.com.
Exactly.
And I'm sure during those conversations, you can ask all the questions you can think of. So that means prepare for that call. Make sure you use your time, maximize your time as much as possible.
I love it. And it's okay if they don't. If it's okay if they want to just ask, hey, how do I do this? What does that look like? What happens here? I'm happy to answer those questions. And just know too that between my staff and myself, we have decades of experience of recruiting and working with virtual assistants overseas. So there's very little we haven't seen yet. I mean, I love to be challenged. I love a good test, but there's very little we haven't seen yet.
Fantastic. Well, Anna, it's been just great chatting with you. I love what you're doing. And, I think people, when you work with someone like Anna, it does make the whole process so much easier and reassuring than if you try to do it all on your own. It is kind of overwhelming. So
it is. We estimate that we save coaches and entrepreneurs and solopreneurs an average of 30 hours that we take off of your plate just for finding and sourcing and interviewing the virtual assistant. I don't know what most coaches charge, but our experience is that most coaches charge between $200 to $300 an hour. That's big money. That's a lot of money that you can save by using our services, not to mention all the time and money that you'd be saving by having a virtual assistant do all this stuff for you.
Well, and you often turn down opportunities because you just don't have the time.
Yeah.
But if you could put your time to those opportunities and let somebody else handle the things that don't really necessarily need your time. It's a better way.
Exactly. Yep. Completely agree.
Well, thank you so much for being an awesome guest.
Thank you so much, Vicki. I really enjoyed this.
And as always, I remind everyone that life is a journey and it's up to you to enjoy the ride. This is Vicki Noethling signing off.
Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.